Welcome, everyone, to our virtual Lunch and Learn today. I'm really excited that we have Asia Walden from our Wellness at Work team. She's our team dietitian here to present on meal planning on the run. I am recording the session so that it can be posted later, and we will turn off the recording before the question and answer session at the end of the presentation. So with that, I will just turn it over to Asia to introduce herself and to give her presentation. Thanks, Asia.
No problem. Thank you, Marnie, and thank you everybody for attending or watching after the fact. As Marnie mentioned, my name is Asia Walden. I'm a registered dietitian and certified diabetes educator, and this presentation is going to be about meal planning on the run. And I kind of felt like it was appropriate for a town employee since there are so many of you who are working long hours or working hours that don't really permit you to prepare a meal beforehand or afterwards. And so it is kind of a grab and go situation. And trying to make sure that you're eating as healthy as possible can sometimes be a challenge. Um, so I want to start by saying, and I do all of my counseling this way, try to be as realistic as possible. There were days, 20, 30, maybe 40 years ago, where your average family, there was somebody who stayed at home and had time to plan and prepare all three meals and snacks and do that every single day. Because that's just what they did. They were being a stay-at-home parent. But those days are really over. Many people they work busy schedules and their schedules are jam-packed between themselves and whoever they're caring for. And a lot of people use convenience foods in a lot of different shapes or forms during their average work week, whether it's going out to fast food or fast casual restaurants or sit down restaurants, taking food home to eat, ordering food in, or simply just cutting the time that it takes them to prepare a meal by using frozen or pre-cooked options. So really what we're trying to understand is how do we make the most bang for our buck nutritionally when we have these circumstances. So you kind of start by going back to the basics, which I talked about at my last Lunch and Learn is, what are the components of a healthy diet? Because those are the things you need to be looking for and kind of thinking about when you're on the go. So the three big things are going to be your carbohydrates, which are your complex carbs, whole grains, starchy vegetables, fruits and dairy, your protein foods, lean sources of protein like dairy, eggs, beans, nut butters, um, and lean meats, and then your fiber filled foods, which can consist of grains, non-starchy vegetables, and then of course fruit, even though it's a carbohydrate, if it has the skin on it, it does give you some fiber. So, in terms of what are lean meats, that's why this is kind of bolded there. Those would be things like chicken, fish, seafood, turkey. You can do beef or pork, but the leaner cuts of the meat, not the ones that have the big ring of fat around it. What are starchy vegetables? So starchy vegetables would be things like potatoes, corn, peas, beans, and fall and winter squashes. So those technically count as carbohydrates. They're foods that easily turn into sugar. And then obviously your starchy, non-starchy vegetables are everything else. Your greens like collards and kales and cabbage and lettuce, green beans, onions, etc. The list goes on of vegetables that there are that are non-starchy. So once we've kind of put that in our back of our mind or in our mind's eye, then you want to plan ahead. So you have to think about foods that really travel well, whether you're traveling with something that can keep it cold or not. So in many cases, you can cut up fruits and vegetables and they'll travel pretty well. Things like crackers, pretzels, corn chips, little bags of popcorn. nuts or nut butters like, peanut butter or almond butter or sunflower butter if you're allergic to nuts. Different types of nutritional bars. Are there smoothies or shakes that can be made or taken with you? Are there drinkable yogurts and things that you can kind of hold in one hand while driving or hold in one hand while walking to a meeting? Um, those are the other types of things that you want to be looking for. And then if you do need to store something because it needs to stay cold or something like that, what do you store it in? So this down here is a picture of a bento box. Do you have something like this that you can kind of compartmentalize your food in to make sure it has all the parts? There is also something that I usually recommend if you're trying to keep things cold. It's a really old lunchbox that came out back in the day and it started on an infomercial, but they still have them. It's called a packet. It folds up really small and it fits into a tight freezer space. So it's probably about a 10-inch bag or something like that once it pops open. But it goes into the freezer, you pop it out of there, you open it up, put your food in there, and it stays cold for 8 hours. So you don't need an ice pack, you don't need anything like that. Both my daughter and I have one. I sent her to school with it. So I don't have to do anything extra to keep her lunch cold at school. Um, or you can use a traditional lunch box or lunch bag and just put like, an ice pack or cooler inside of it. Whatever works best or is convenient financially. You just want to make sure you have the right containers. So then what are some convenient things that you can kind of grab and go? And by grab and go, I mean like if it's in the fridge, it's on the counter, it's already cut up, you're rushing out of the house, you grab it, you grab your keys, you go to the car. So Chobani does have drinkable yogurts. So you can do something like that. I usually recommend these particular brands of ready-made shakes. Premier Protein and Fairlife are both dairy-based shakes. If you can't tolerate dairy well or it doesn't make you feel good and you prefer something that's a non-dairy based, there's these other two brands, OWYN and Evolve. They don't use any whey protein. They use pumpkin seeds and like pea protein, but all four of these brands are reputable brands that give you about 20 grams of protein per shake. Their shakes are less than 200 calories. It's not a lot of carbohydrates, so you don't have to worry about it being too high carb if you have diabetes. And it will keep you full for at least 2 to 3 hours. So that's why I typically recommend these brands. You can also get like pre-chopped fruits or vegetables in the produce section. Obviously, you can get a knife and chop your vegetables and fruits yourself also, but you do have to have the time to do that. So if you need to buy them pre-cut, that is available in the produce section of most stores. Applesauce pouches. People laugh at me all the time about this, but I'm a mom of small children, and I realize that the pouches that they put the applesauce in not now versus putting them in the cup so that they're mess free. That works for adults as well, and they do have pouches that have fruits and vegetables. And sometimes some of my patients who struggle to actually put vegetables on their plate will use these fruit and vegetable pouches to get them in. It's not baby food. It's literally the same applesauce or something similar that was in like the cups that we used to eat with a spoon. And that's something you can, one-handed. Um, sorry about that. You can buy like individual cups of peanut butter, guacamole, or hummus as like dippings, sauces, if you will, for like crackers or vegetables or something like that. Um, what we call adult Lunchables, or meat sticks or other things that you can travel well with, the mozzarella cheese sticks or other types of cheese sticks. And then they even sell protein balls and or protein bars in stores. And these are some other like trusted brands that you might find around. Like I already mentioned the Premier Protein and the Fairlife, but Pure Protein is another one. RX Bar, Aloha, and also Orgain. And of course, there's tons of different brands in the store, but these are ones that I know are trusted. Most stores, like your big box stores like Target, in Walmart and Costco and Sam's, they do have store brand equivalents of all of these types of products. And at least with the protein shakes, I've looked at them and compared the nutrition labels. They are comparable in terms of nutrition. So if you're trying to save money, you can buy the store brand in many cases. So what do you do if fast food is really just the only option? Like there's just nothing else. You didn't prepare anything ahead of time. You didn't think about any of the stuff that we just talked about. There is still a way. So some tips for eating healthier when you're enjoying fast food is, first of all, remember your plate. Still remember that when you're eating, you need carbs, you need protein, you need fruits and vegetables or something colorful. Um, Order menu items that are lower in fat, salt, and or sugar. And this may not happen all the time. Order menu items that are higher in colorful foods and fiber. Um, Always remember that there are small options at these places. You do not have to jumbo size, super size, biggie size, anything. It's too many calories. If you have to, order the kids meal, even if you're not, under 10. The kids meal actually will fill up an adult. I've talked to plenty of adults who go to like a fast food place and order the kids meal and they're full. So, and it saves them money too. So, consider that as well. And then, with your drink options, um, there's always water. If you don't like water and you have to do something with bubbles in it, go for the diet soda. Um, or if you're just like, don't like the taste of diet, specifically stuff like tea and unsweetened tea and stuff like that, you can do, like when you go to the fountain at somewhere like McDonald's, get half your glass with sweet tea and the other half with water to cut down on the amount of sugar that you're taking in. That may not seem like it's doing a lot, but when it comes to your blood sugar, when it comes to added weight, when it comes to your heart, it's doing more than you think. Other tips for eating healthier at a fast food restaurant would be things like not adding bacon to your sandwiches or ordering the grilled versions of meats or proteins versus the fried. Sometimes you can ask for less salt. There are places where you can say, can you give me my fries without all the salt in it? Um, you don't have to have cheese or sour cream just because it comes on the item. You can ask for that to be taken off. People ask for, their orders to be cooked differently all the time. When it comes to stuff like pizza, thin crust, I'm having it cut into that party cut where it's the squares versus the large triangles. That's also another strategy that we use all the time in my house. We never order regular crust pizza and it's always cut in squares. And so you don't eat as much quite as fast. And then in terms of the colorful foods, you can ask for like whole grain buns if you're out at a restaurant. Some places do have whole grain buns, or you can just ask for the sandwich without the bun, or for it to be wrapped in lettuce. I didn't even put that on here. You can order sweet potato fries if that's an option, or other vegetable fries, because sometimes they do like carrot fries or zucchini fries or, squash fries. Or you could just simply swap those fries out for something else. Like if you were to go somewhere like a Chick-fil-A, they have more than just fries as their side dishes for their sandwiches. You can get a cup of fruit. You can get a side salad. Those are all options. Specifically, when it comes to fast food and restaurants, I wanted to talk a little bit more about salads. So, not all salads are created equal. I see a lot of people eating salads that are not really that healthy. And they're like, but I had a salad. And I'm like, yeah, but it really didn't have very many vegetables on it. I don't want you to make the mistake of thinking because you had a salad that you ate something healthy. If your salad is not 70% fresh fruits and vegetables, it's probably not a healthy salad. You want to avoid things like dried fruit and candied nuts. When you dry out fruit, You're taking all the water out, so you're left with a lot of the sugar. So it's the same thing as eating M&Ms or Skittles in terms of the sugar content. Would you put M&Ms or sugar on your salad or Skittles on your salad is the question that you really want to ask yourself. Um, Try not to load your salad up with cheese or croutons or breadsticks. If you have to load it up with that to eat it, you're really not eating a salad. And be careful about the dressing too. A lot of people have so much dressing on their salad that they're not really even enjoying the salad. They're really just having you know, dressing with some lettuce sprinkled in there. So make sure you're ordering less dressing by using those little ramekins that they give you in the restaurant. You only need about 1 or 2 ramekins full of that on most of those salads to have enough salad dressing. And if you can choose the oil and vinegar based salad dressings versus the cream based, you're going to get less calories because the cream based are made with fat, which is more calories. So this was relatively quick, but in summary, I just want to say everything that I said in this slide, these are just recommendations. There is no expectation that you're going to follow every single one of these recommendations every time that you eat out or eat on the go. However, you want to make the choices that are the best for you and your lifestyle. Sometimes you may use them, sometimes you may not, and that's okay. Um, just enjoy eating healthy on the go and don't feel as guilty because you are able to make better choices. That is my presentation.